Hello my beautiful friends, it's Amanda here, and today we're talking about a new collection from ColourPop launching this Thursday, March 10th. This is an all lime green collection called In the Limelight, and these are all eyeshadow products this time. We have 2 new color sticks, we have 3 new Jelly Mud shadows, which I am very excited about, and then of course we have a little eyeshadow palette. This time it is a 9-pan palette. We have a whole lot of lime green to look at today, so I'm going to give you close-ups. We're going to do swatches. I have a whole bunch of comparisons. I'm also going to show you a tutorial for this eye look that I'm wearing today. Discount codes should work on everything in this collection, so if you want to save a few bucks, you can always use my affiliate code. It's just my first name, Amanda, and that will save you 10% on most things on the ColourPop site. Sometimes if they have value sets or full collection sets, it's kind of 50-50 whether or not the codes will work on those type of things. So just keep an eye on your totals, but you should be able to use my 10% off code Amanda on all of the stuff in this collection. I'm pretty sure, I'm not positive, but I'm pretty sure. Let's start off with the Jelly Mud shadows. This is the only part of this Limelight collection that I don't have comparison swatches for. They've only previously released a handful of green Jelly Mud shadows, and they were all really blue-based greens, so there wasn't much great comparison for these. Maybe some of the like yellowy golds could be kind of similar, but this is the only part of this collection that I don't have comparison swatches for because I do think these are very unique colors. Typically, the Jelly Mud shadows are priced at $9 a piece on the ColourPop site, so I'm assuming that's how much these will be as well. When it comes to the outer packaging, the boxes, like the little cardboard cartons, are all exactly the same. And actually the outer packaging of the Jelly Mud shadows themselves, so the little screw top pots, are all the same color as well. These do have a little stopper inside, and the stoppers are color coded. Definitely keep the stoppers. I know some makeup products have disposable little lids on products like this. Keep the stoppers. It helps keep the Jelly Mud formula from drying out. There are 3 different shades here. This first one, called Memoir, is a very pale, almost pastel sort of lime green. The next one, Heartthrob, is that very acid lime green. It has a lot of yellow base to it, as do most of the greens throughout this whole collection. And then the darkest shade is this one called Scandal. This is more of an olive meets lime green, and this is the shade that I'm wearing on my eyes, so you'll get to see this one in action in just a few minutes. Here are the swatches of these 3 shades. Just quick finger swatches on my arm. These do dry down, so it's a creamy, very jelly creamy formula at first, but once you apply it to the skin, especially a nice thin layer like this, they do dry down and they're very opaque and very metallic. If you're not quite sure what to make of these Jelly Mud shadows, whether yours are tending to dry out, or you're not really sure how to best apply them, or you just want more information about them, I do have a full video all about the Jelly Mud shadows. I really like this formula. I think it's underrated, and I do think it can be a little intimidating or a little tricky if you're not quite sure what to make of these. So I'll link my Jelly Mud video down in the description so you can get more information about how to care for these shadows, how I like to apply them, all of that fun stuff. Now let's move on to the color sticks in this collection. There are 2 new color stick shades. These are typically priced at $7 a piece on the ColourPop site, so that's probably what these will be. You never know. You never know with ColourPop. Like the Jelly Mud shadows, the color sticks outer boxes, the cardboard carton that they come in, are exactly the same, but these are labeled on the outside, and then the color sticks themselves have a color coordinated bottom. I always want to call it a color coordinated cap, but it's the bottom part of the color sticks. And then the shade names are printed on the side here. This printing does tend to wear off pretty easily, so just keep that in mind. these twist up, so there is no need to worry about sharpening the color sticks. You just twist them right up. If you do want a finer point, you could probably try to sharpen, but I've never done that, so don't take my word for it, but you don't have to sharpen these is the point. Now I'm going to show you just some quick swatches. Bright Lights is a metallic lime green, and then Bussin' is a matte lime green. The color sticks aren't my favorite type of product. Overall, it's just not a formula that I really love, but I will say I am very impressed by this neon matte green. It applied so much more smooth and opaquely than I expected it to. Now, these are the two other previously released color sticks that I'm going to compare the new Limelight collection ones to. So Isla Vista has been around for a while. I think it originally came out with the Limoncello collection, and then it was released later in a vault. And Leafy just came out with the Pop Art collection. I do think that Leafy is more similar to Bussin' than Isla Vista is to Bright Lights. Bright Lights is more yellow based. Now, there is a subtle difference in the two matte colors, but they're probably gonna pretty much look the same on the lids. I do see more of a difference with the shimmers. These mattes, they're pretty close. There's really no denying. Lastly, we have the In the Limelight palette. I'm guessing this will be priced at $14 US. So let's take a close-up look at this In the Limelight palette. I'm torn on the packaging here. It matches the theme. It's fine. It's just not really my personal favorite, but at least it makes sense and it matches the theme. So packaging is just sort of middle of the road for me. As usual, on the back of the box, we have the ingredients list here. I combed over this ingredients list twice. I did not see any carmine in the ingredients list, but I do want to point out there's one shade that has the eye safety warning, this shade here called Miami. So just make sure you take a second glance over the ingredients list in case you do have any allergies or other ingredient concerns. You do need to keep the box or keep an eye on the website because the ingredients are not listed on the actual palette itself. Now, taking a look inside the palette, there is no mirror inside this one. I know that's always kind of a dividing issue. Some people really love the mirrors. Others don't want them because it makes the palette less environmentally friendly. I see both sides, so, just so you know, there's no mirror in this one. This has 4 mattes, 4 true shimmers, 1 matte with glitter. That's the top middle shade called Almost Famous. And there are no pressed glitters, but we do just have that 1 pigment warning shade in Miami there. So I will link a video down below all about what those warnings mean and how to patch test those shades. I also want to mention that this does have the large 26mm pans. So if you are someone that likes to rearrange your ColourPop palettes with the magnetic pans, you can only swap these with the other large pan palettes like this one, the Tinkerbell palette. Next, let's look at the swatches and comparisons with this In the Limelight palette. First, we'll just take a close-up look at finger and brush swatches of this one. Finger swatches on top, brush swatches below. I don't use a dampened brush. I don't use any primer. It's just the shadow straight onto my skin. That way you can see those 2 different application methods up close. And then we'll jump right into the comparisons. I have quite a few for this palette. I think you can tell right away from these swatches that overall the performance is fine, with the exception of the 2 really light neon matte shades. Those are pretty tough to apply with a brush. You will see me use them in the tutorial and they are a little bit better on the eye, but they do really need to be built up if you want to get a packed punch of pigment. However, my main complaint with this palette is that the 3 green shimmers are way too similar. There's just hardly any detectable variety in these green shimmers. We're going to take a look at some comparisons now. I had a lot of requests on my Instagram page. This is one of the requested comparisons. This is the Star Fruity palette. And, 2 of the shades are kind of similar. The other two, not so much. Starfruity actually manages to have a better variety of shades with only 4 shadows, so do with that what you will. Now we're going to look at the Star Wars Mandalorian The Child palette. This one is literally more similar to In the Limelight than the Tinkerbell palette, which everybody is comparing this to the Tinkerbell palette. This has more shade overlap than Tinkerbell, but you can see the Child has way more variety, more depth, and is overall a lot more cool toned. But at least the frosty white and the beigey tan shade are similar. I feel obligated to include Just My Luck. This is the obligatory green palette to compare to any green palette that ColourPop releases, despite the fact that these do not look alike at all. Maybe that one shade in the middle there, but overall, Just My Luck is much darker, much more blue-toned greens, a lot more variety, so not really similar. Next up, we have the Sprinkle a Little Magic palette. This is the Tinkerbell palette, and this is the one that I have seen everybody comparing In the Limelight to. I do not think these are similar. Again, maybe that one bright green in the middle, but it's just way darker, way more cool toned. Sprinkle a Little Magic has a lot more variety, a lot more depth. It's just, I don't really understand why this is the one that keeps getting brought up. Maybe because it's like a neutral plus green type of color story, but the shades themselves, there's hardly any overlap. These could be companion palettes. I think they could be great companion palettes, but even the neutral mattes in Sprinkle Little Magic are super cool toned pinks, and In the Limelight is just really warm. I think it's a lot more similar to the Aura and Out palette. There's way more shade overlap between these two palettes, and Aura and Out is a 9-pan. It just has a pressed glitter, which I didn't want to swatch because I still had more swatches to do, so there is a pressed glitter in here too. It is what it is. You kind of get the point. It's not similar to that brown anyway, so it doesn't matter that it's not here, but there's a lot more shade overlap in this one in my opinion. Here we have another requested palette from my Instagram post. This is the Fade into Hue Mega Palette, and I actually think this one has more overlap within the Limelight than Tinkerbell as well. It really has those neons, but you can tell even the neon shades in Fade into Hue are more opaque and just more substantial. So I don't know what's going on with these In the Limelight matte shades. Hela is another one that tons of people were asking for a comparison, and I want you to really take a moment to look at these because the color story is similar. First of all, Hela has a bunch more shades that aren't pictured in this swatch. Look at the difference in, first of all, those shimmery greens. There's way more variation and noticeable difference on the skin with the Hela palette. And look at the difference in the opacity of the matte shades. Those really pale neon type of mattes are so hard to formulate, and the Hela palette has a way higher performance level than In the Limelight. Alright, now that you've seen all the swatches and comparisons, I want to show you how I got the eyeshadow look that I'm wearing in today's video using some of these products, and as we go along, I'll wrap up all my thoughts instead of doing a voiceover of my application because I think you can pretty much figure it out without me narrating my steps, so that way I can wrap up all my thoughts along the way. First things first, the Jelly Much shadows are by far my favorite thing in this collection. I love the colors. I'm so happy to see some bright, fun Jelly Much shadows coming back on the scene. If I was just going to recommend one thing from this In the Limelight collection, I would recommend the Jelly Much shadows. I'm not a huge fan of color sticks in general. That's just not the type of product that I love. There's nothing wrong with them if you love that type of product, if you love that formula. They are fine. They're pretty good. They're just not my jam. Now, let's get into the palette because I have complicated feelings. I do have some gripes. I do think that the two lighter neon shades are not quite up to par performance-wise, formula-wise. And I'm very bummed out that the 3 green shimmers look so similar on the skin. In the pan, they don't look that similar, but once they're swatched, they all look pretty much indistinguishable to me. And I just wish that we had a little bit more variety. Now, that being said, I'm really happy to see ColourPop doing something fun and vibrant and very out of the box, not super neutral. I love that. I love seeing them do some really bright color. It feels on trend for spring, summer. We want this bold green. I love it. I'm here for all of that. It's just the 3 shimmers being so similar really is the part that throws me off. I don't think it's that similar to other palettes that they've released. I think it could be a great companion to the Tinkerbell palette or the Lush Life palette or something like that, where there's not a lot of actual overlap, and then these shades could really bring something new to the table. But I feel so torn because I love this eye look. I like this direction for ColourPop, but I just don't see myself reaching for this palette over my Oden's Eye Hela palette. So that one's restocking on the 22nd, so just maybe consider that as well. I really hope you enjoyed this video and found it helpful. I would love to hear your thoughts on this collection. Are you interested? Are you going to pick any of these pieces up? What are your favorites? I always love to hear what you think about things too, so make sure you leave all your thoughts down in the comments below. As always, thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in my next video. Bye! A whole lot of I mean, can we just have a moment for the matching nail game? I was way too excited about painting my nails for this video. Oh, okay. Where was I? Great. Affiliate. Okay. What? Where was I going with that? It's really fun. It's more fun than it should be. I'm an adult. I feel like a green queen today. Tried not to go too matchy with the earrings. This just has like a hint of green. It's more of a bluish green, you know? Didn't want to steal the show from the eyeshadow. And the nails. Of course. Of course. At first, I was determined not to really like much about this palette or this collection, but I actually like it more than I thought I was going to. It's still not my favorite ever. I do still think Tinkerbell's better, but it is pretty cute. It's pretty cute. I'm not gonna lie. It's pretty cute. Thanks for watching. Thanks for hanging out. I'm glad you're here, and I love your face, and I will hopefully see it back here real soon. Okay, I hope you have an awesome day, and I love your face. Okay, bye.